night in Take Back America here, we had a scene at the Tea Party where I made a speech. Each one of you, there's about roughly, including the illegal aliens, probably 40 million humans living in the state of California, including Uncle Sam here and his granddaughter who's sitting next to him here in the studio. There's about 40 million Californians, only 8 assemblymen. Michael Warnken did some research and discovered that when the state was only about 4 or 5 years old, back in about 1855 or something, they increased the state assembly from 36 to 50 something and then to 80 2 years later because the population had exploded to 250,000. And it has stayed at 80 assemblymen for 150 years. They thought they needed 80 to represent 250,000. Supervisor Katcho, if you're elected, are you going to change that ratio, increase the membership of the assembly? Because according to the Federalist Papers, we're supposed to redistrict congressional districts 30,000 to 1 for each House member. Now we got assembly districts where each one of you represent 500,000. Is there any way you could possibly talk and listen to 500,000 people?
If you're willing, there is a possibility. If you work hard enough, you can reach out. And you don't have to listen per individual at all times, but collectively, you got to be able to listen for each individual's concern that might come forward or encourage them to bring forward. If we want to increase the number of assembly, we're just increasing the number of the size of our government. The more assembly folks you get in, the more staff comes in. And we don't want any bigger government than it is. What we got to do, we got to spend more time locally than we spend in Sacramento. We're elected and put in office to work for the folks who put us there, and we need to stay in touch with those rather than maintain our distance, spend more time in Sacramento than in our own backyard. If we spend more time in our backyard, we can do a better job listening to our folks, as I have done for almost 12 years now, listening to our population in county is almost 260,000 people. So that's not a bad number per supervisor. Per supervisor, we're down to 55,000, but collectively, 5 of us supervisors are in charge of the entire county. So knock on wood, we've done a great job. If there's a willingness, we can do that. But the problem is, I don't want to see any more assembly folks or Senate folks, because you're just increasing the number of government.
Well, then why not reduce it to 10, have 10 assemblymen? If the numbers don't matter, if people can get the ear of their assemblyman, whether he represents, why not just make 10 assemblymen instead of 80, and each one of the 10 will represent 4 million people.
If you look at the population
rate, we'll get rid of their bureaucracies, get rid of their secretaries, all their press people, and all their minions of each, and we'll just have 10 assemblymen.
If you look at our ratio of 80 assembly folks to the number of people we have in California, the number would to increase. As the number increases, you're going to get with 80 assemblymen almost 10 to the 4 million that you're talking about. You'll get to that ratio not too long from now.
Are you aware, Supervisor Katcho, that I know you were born in a foreign country. You were born not in Finland. You were born where?
In Lebanon.
In Lebanon. Used to be a nice country until they had all kinds of wars. You still got relatives in Lebanon?
I do.
Palestinians?
No, I'm Armenian.
You're Armenian?
Yes.
Oh, so you're Orthodox Armenian Christian?
Correct.
Good for you.
All Armenians are Christians.
Good for you. I think we should have some Armenian Orthodox Christians in the assembly. I don't think there's...
It's Apostolic Orthodox.
Apostolic. I'm sorry, you corrected
That's okay.
me. But I think there should be at least one in the assembly.
There are more than one already.
Is there?
Yeah.
All right, then you're represented already.
We have a governor who was an Armenian.
That's right, Duke Majan.
Correct.
I met the man. He was a nice gentleman. Here's what bothers me. In the Federalist Papers, have you ever read the Federalist Papers?
Depends on where you want to focus on.
Well, you know who wrote the Federalist Papers, when they were written?
Not exactly, no.
Okay, the Federalist Papers were written 200 years ago by the Founding Fathers. Benjamin Franklin is credited with writing most of it, but a lot of people suspect Thomas Jefferson and some others had some hands in it. In the Federalist Papers, he states that if you maintain the ratio of 30,000 to 1 rep, you will have liberty. I think it's in, help me, Cassandra. Oh, I didn't give you the book. You didn't read it yet. She can't help me. I think it's in chapter 55 or 56 of the Federalist Papers, they said, but if you ever get to 40,000 to 1, you will have absolute tyranny. Now that's what the founding fathers of America believed 200 years ago. And you saw that scene where I spoke at the Tea Party at Pismo Beach. Those people were angry. They all felt they have no representation now with 80 assemblymen. Why not, and here's my question to you, why not increase it to where we're back to 30,000 people per assemblyman? But each assemblyman gets only $1,000 a month in salary plus expenses, and they only meet every other year. Would you favor that? Then you get rid of the bureaucracy. You take away their, I think they get $130,000 a year now in salary.
I don't know exactly how much they make, but the money is not the object. My reason of getting into politics is a service to the community, because I have my businesses, which is my main source of income, even as we speak now. And if I was lucky enough to be going to Sacramento, my businesses are still in place to help me financially. But, go ahead.
My question is, would you favor increasing the assembly size while decreasing their salary to a paltry $1,000 a month, which is what some people live on in this state? There are clerks and part-time people that struggle to get by on $1,000 a month, and both of them have to work. So why not bring their salary down from these kingly, princely salaries and increase the number? Because if there was 30,000 to 1, Santa Maria alone would have 3 assemblymen instead of only a part of 1 assemblyman. I could walk down my neighborhood block, find my assemblyman and say, looky here, this bad judge just did this and that, and the assembly can hold a trial for our judges. Did you know that?
I do. But let me refer
so you
you to
this.
I didn't answer the question yet, so if you allow me, I'll get
Go
to
ahead.
that point. There's 2 sides of a coin. One, folks like myself who have a source of income can do this free of charge. Is it fair for someone who has no other source of income to do it for $1,000 a year or a month? Is that a fair question? Who do you want to see there? People who have done well for themselves, those who are done well for themselves are going to be at a certain age, and they're the only ones that we can see go, why shouldn't I see somebody like Cassandra, young and energetic, that want to serve her community and be able to go there, understanding that she can still make a living?
That's a good question.
Because if we compare ourselves at my age, she's much obviously younger.
She's prettier too, right?
No doubt. I wouldn't go there. But there's 2 sides of the coins. It's a choice that you make. I have absolutely no problem increasing the number, but on the other side of the coin, do you want to see more government in your face? And somebody like myself, heck no.
Well, I don't consider the assembly, Cassandra's got something she wants to say, but
Sure.
I don't consider assembly government. I consider that as we the people get in there, but if only 1.5 million of us can get in there. But to answer your question, why should Cassandra work for $1,000 a month? Because I don't want her to stay there more than 2 or 3 terms. I want lots of people to serve. So we have doctors, we have apostolic Christians, we have people from many, many different backgrounds. They serve 2 years, 4 years, and they get out. And that way, we get a blend of many different people. That's my answer to it.
I personally don't have a problem, but if Cassandra has to feed her family, can she still do a proper job, commit herself full-time for her job when she still has to feed her family and pay a mortgage for a $1,000 a month? That's not a fair place to put her in.
Well, let's ask Cassandra. I think she had something she wanted to say. Cassandra?
Okay, well, first I wanted to say that you're basically implying that it's the public's job to come to you guys with our suggestions on our government, how it should be ran, on the choices that should be made for us. I agree with him. I do think we should have more people in office so that everyone does get a fair chance to speak. Because, I mean, honestly, if I were to try and come to you and talk to you and be like, look, I have a suggestion maybe you should make for us. You know, you are here to represent us because not everyone gets fair representation. But if you're trying to represent like 500,000 people or so, you literally, logically cannot talk to everyone and remember what everyone says.
I hear your logic, and there's a logic behind it. But if you talk to the people at large, what is the first thing they want to see? It's less of a government. How can you have a lesser of a government by having more representation? It sounds very good. We want to have more people listen to us. We have more people to offer us of the service. We have more people to serve our needs. But how do you accomplish that?
I think we want less government because our government's not listening to our problems. It's not working for us. It's only listening to themselves and the outside
Very good.
countries. But if our government did actually like represent what we stand for, and everyone did get say, and people were acknowledged, we'd probably be okay with having a bigger government as long as everyone's word got heard.
I hear you loud and clear that our government is not listening to us. If they were, we wouldn't be here today with the economy and the deficit we have within our budget. But that doesn't mean that we don't have enough of a government to do a better job listening to our needs and paying attention to what our needs are rather than to their daily lives and if they will ever get reelected again.